some of you. This is a very special broadcast, and of course, we must pray. And prayer we must, this very evening and always going forward. And I will pray in the language of heaven, because Chukwukika Biama is in control of all that we have been doing and will continue to do until Biafra is restored and all the suffering indigenous populations in the damnable zoological republic are set free. Chineke na nke pụrụ ihe niile Chukwukika Biama onye na-efe na aja ha nsọ ya mma mgbe niile. Onye ọbụla na ya na-achị eluigwe n'ụwa na-agba akaebe ịhụnanya gị na ebere gị amara gị n'ọmịiko gị ebe ndị gị na-eze ebede ngọzi. Anyị wee na-etoghị agbanyeghị atụmatụ ọjọọ niile nke ndị iro, iwe nye anyị ndụ ala nke dị ndụ n'ụbọchị nke taa. Anyị wee na-asị na ịja mma niile otu niile dịrị aha nsọ gị. Onye ọ bụ naanị aka ike niile na ọ gbadara aka ya. Anyị wee na-akpọku gị na-asị gị na nke ọma anyị ga-ekele gị, nke ọjọọ ma anyị kelee gị. Anyị wee na-aja gị mma, wee na-eto gị, wee na-asọpụrụ gị n'isi ụmụ gị niile bụ ndị ikwu ndị wee ezu oku mgbe a kpọrọ ha ka ha wee chekwaa ala nsọ gị bụ Biafra onye nwe m na Chineke na ihe n'ikwuru anyị nkwa na o mekataghị ka ndị iro wee were ala nsọ Biafra onye nwe m na Chineke na nke bi n'igwe. Agbanyeghị atụmatụ ọjọọ niile nke ndị iro ma ndị na-agba mgbọgba ebe niile dị iche iche onye nwe m na Chineke nna ihere bụ nke ndị dị etu a n'ụbọchị nke taa. Anyị wee na-eto gị, wee na-asị onye nwe anyị na Chineke nna nke pụrụ m ihe niile, onye ọ bụ naanị ya na-azọpụta, onye ọ bụ naanị ya bụ okwu ya niile bụ ihe na amen. Anyị wee na-asị ezi ebube dị ngọzi na ọtụtụ na ịja mma na nsọpụrụ site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ebi. Ise ise ise.
Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive. Thank you so much, and remember, wherever you are joining me from, if you are joining from Africa, Asia, Europe, America, Australia, or Canada, I thank you very much. Each time you watch my video, please go to the comment section and leave your comment. Express yourself. Say it the way you feel it. It's all welcome. Just express yourself. Nobody's going to talk down on you. Nobody's going to fight you. Express yourself. You can equally criticize if you so desire. Make your argument. Do it constructively so that we can learn from each other. And most importantly, share the video. Share the video to everybody. Share it to family and friends. Share it to people who need to hear our voice. We cannot allow them to change the narrative. They are trying so hard with their conventional media to change the narrative, but we will not allow them. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter how they push it. We will not allow them. That is why we are here on the social media, saying it the way it is, and we will continue. Today, we are going to talk about the issue of the VAT, value added tax. This value added tax they are talking about, when they begin to blow the grammar, some of us get confused. This is a simple thing, paying of tax. The tax that we are paying in our states. Federal government is taking it and using and sharing it around again to everybody. But when you look at this tax, I am not going to bother you with the information. It is high time that we start making inquiries by ourselves. Go on your own, go on your own and verify and find out how much each state is making. You will be marvel what you will see. I'm not going to bug you with it. You will be marvel how much each state is making on tax alone. All this while people have just been focusing on oil. They're talking about petroleum, Niger data, that. Talking about oil, but now it is all clear that oil is no more in vogue. They are now talking about the value added tax, which is one of the fraud that have been happening in that very contraption. One of another means that they have been stealing from the southern part of Nigeria. Go and check how much each state is making. You can see that the only state that can be able to survive on their own in the northern part of Nigeria is only two states, Kaduna and Kano. Apart from Kaduna and Kano, no other state in that very part of the world can be able to survive on their own. And yet, these people will come out and begin to boast of giving us presidency, or boast of holding the largest space of land. They will boast of doing us, boast that we cannot be able to decide what happens in the country. You see the reason why we have to break this thing up. Every morning, every day you wake up, you will see information that give you, that will make you request more, to make you speak more about the breakup of that contraption. About the breakup of that contraption. But it is sad, much more sad, that in the southeastern part of Nigeria, who are supposed to be crying about this VAT, crying more about this VAT, they are not even talking about it. It is only River State and Lagos State that are superheading it, with Oyo State following suit. The southeastern region, their state are not even talking about this VAT. Ebonyi State have come, or when he come out and said that he's not even in support of the state collecting VAT. That is how demonic this man called him. People don't know how demonic this Umahi is. When we talk about Umahi, people don't know how demonic he is. He doesn't support anything that is good. You will see him talking about development he has made in the Ebonyi State. Those are money he has been borrowing money on behalf of Ebonyi State. And you will be, when they begin to investigate him and reveal how much he has stolen for that so-called borrowing, you marvel what you will see. You see him parading development he had made in Ebonyi State and infrastructure he built in Ebonyi State. Go and check the amount he used to make all those, build those infrastructure. He has stolen double the amount before he began to do them. Today, he doesn't support anything that is good, that is going to favor the southern part of Nigeria. Umahi will never support it. That is where we have found ourselves. This is more reason why we will not succumb to anything they are saying, anything they're talking about. We can never support the southeastern governors or southeastern politicians. They are fraudulent and evil. In this southeastern part of Nigeria, do you know that the VAT we are talking about, the southeastern part of Nigeria, when you talk about VAT, paying of tax, the importation tax, people that pay the importation tax, you see, that is boasting Lagos, that is making Lagos to have billions. The people that are boasting that importation tax are the southeastern and the Biafrans. When you talk of importation, it is the Biafrans. It is Biafrans. It is the Biafrans that are boasting the tax in Lagos State. You see the reason why Osuna Mazin Kano cries out when he talks about having a port in the southeastern part of Nigeria. This is why they cannot allow us to have a seaport. They cannot allow us to have a seaport to import our own goods. They can't even allow us to have an international airport functioning to import our own goods. Because they want to put the thing in where they're going to be taking it from us and share it to everybody. Look at what they are doing in Lagos State and River State. They will take the money and share it to North. A North that is not productive in any angle, in any section. They are not productive. They have nothing to offer these people. Only 2 states in the North are viable. Every other state are dependent on the South. Southern part of Nigeria produces. When you come to oil, they are the one. You come to VAT, they can. But when you come to leadership, you begin to see these people who call themselves ignorant people who are not even educated. They begin to struggle for power. They begin to talk of number, talk about land space. You have the greatest empty land space, yet you cannot put it to use. You boast of land mass, you cannot put it to use. You don't have anything to offer, yet you want us to be part of you. If you are from the southern part of Nigeria and you have not yet woken up, I don't know when you're going to wake up. Maybe in your grave. Maybe in your grave. That is when you wake up. And why saying this, I would like you to listen to this very discussion that we made on channel television on Sunrise on the issue of VAT. Maybe when you listen to the intellectuals, you might get more information. Maybe what I'm saying might not be digestible for you. For those of you who claim to be much more educated, maybe when you listen to this very interview on Arise Television, you might be able to understand better from what I've been saying. But I just gave you the background of what you have to put your mind on while you are listening to them. That the southern part of Nigeria are the pillar, and they are the one laying the golden egg that is holding this so-called one Nigeria that is killing you and I. They are the one feeding this janjaweed who want to wipe everybody out and take over. The reason why they want to take over, they feel that maybe when they take over, they will begin to enjoy everything. But let me tell you, even if you hand over the southern part of Nigeria to the janjaweed, they cannot produce anything because they are very unproductive, lazy gluttons who can never be able to produce anything. They have a land mass they are supposed to be able to put to use. They don't put it to use. They are coming to the south. Listen to the discussion on Arise TV, on not Arise TV, on Sunrise in channel television. Let's watch.
Dr. Adeoye, you've said a lot about what the Constitution provides in terms of who collects what. But can you talk us through the components of this VAT, being collected by the Federal Inland Revenue currently?
Now, at the moment, value-added tax is in different components. We have companies that are manufacturing beverages in the country because of difficulty in pursuing individuals that drink coke in their various homes. So Federal Inland Revenue go directly to those manufacturers like Nigerian bottling companies and the rest, Nigerian breweries that manufacture Martina and all the rest. And they get this VAT directly from them. Now, there are certain goods that are exempted from value-added tax. Healthcare is exempted, pharmaceutical is exempted, educational services exempted, basic food items are exempted, agricultural products are exempted, bread is exempted because bread has become staple food for Nigerians. And so you find out that more poor people eat bread. So you now have VAT charge on other services, including professional services, importation, supermarket, all sorts of buying and selling. Now, how does VAT work? When I give you an invoice of 100,000, I'm going to add 7,500 with the current rate of 7.5, which means you are going to pay me 107,500, and I am to remit this 7,500 to Federal Inland Revenue. Now, when you do importation into the country, when custom want to charge you, they will also charge you VAT on import. Now, we have input VAT, output VAT, and the net VAT. So, if you do business and you sell goods worth 200,000, the VAT that is payable, output on it, is 15,000 naira. Now, if you had purchased items somewhere worth 100,000 and you have paid VAT of 7.5, which is 7,500, the VAT that you are going to pay to the Federal Inland Revenue is now 7,500. We say take input from the output, and then you have the net payable. There is crisis at the moment. There are certain goods that when you buy them and you clear them, the clearing agent does not give you all the details about VAT paid at the port. And this is one of the arguments we've been having with Federal Inland Revenue, and we're saying, look, this VAT that is being paid at the port should be deducted from what is payable, regardless of whether you have the document or not.
What I have here, because the three components that I'm talking about is, that is presently being collected by the Federal Inland Revenue Service is international commerce, that is import and export VAT, interstate commerce, and the third one is intrastate commerce. So presently, the National Assembly is empowered to legislate on the first and the second and not the third. So can we say the Federal Inland Revenue Service should continue to collect the first and second, which is the international commerce and interstate, and the state stays with the third, which is intrastate?
Well, yes and no. Yes, because when you look at the history of the value-added tax decree, it was just for conveniences. Sales tax was what metamorphosed into value-added tax decree. Decree number 102 of 1993, where you have Sylvester Ugo as the chair of that committee. They started in 1991 when South Africa promulgated a law on value-added tax collection at 10%. And so it was to make collection easy for the entire state. Remember, there is no difference between the head of state under military era and the military administrator. And you have no power to challenge your head of state, the CNC. So you are just one of the boys. We are collecting for you, and then we are going to distribute to all of you. Now, if to the extent that derivation principle will be applied to international taxation, that's VAT on import and export issue, and then the interstate. To the extent that derivation principle will be applied, Federal Inland Revenue may go or may continue to collect. But you know the fear of the state government. So, but when you collect this, then you bring it to the table and ensure that this is also shared equitably. So, states have powers to collect consumption tax, which is value-added tax, so to say, within their state. And that's why you see a lot of states coming up with consumption tax law, which I have challenged and say this law is illegal. It amounts to double taxation, and Lagos State started because they felt cheated that we contribute more, and so they came up with a consumption tax. And this consumption tax, moved like a wildfire from Lagos to Ogun to other states in the country. And so what is on the table now that we are discussing is true federalism, ensuring that you give to the source of collection what is due to them in accordance with that section 163 that I just read to you.
Dr.
That you must pay attention
I beg your pardon.
to the principle of derivation.
Dr. Adeye, I beg your pardon. Charging VAT and charging a consumption tax as well, doesn't that result in double taxation?
Exactly what I was saying. They came up with these, what you call palliative measures at that time. Lagos State started, and because if you check, there have been series of litigation, Eco Hotel litigation with Lagos State on consumption tax, and Eco Hotel won that case, saying that, look, you can't be asking me to pay 5% at that time on what people have consumed here, and at the same time, Federal Inland Revenue, they come with their own assessment and ask me to pay the same amount. So, going forward, if we are serious as a country, the National Assembly should call all the speakers of the 36 states of the Federation and call the guys in the Federal Capital Territory and let us sit down and look at these laws and make amendment, and let's find political, moral, and legal solution to this. One thing that we must do at first is to abolish all these consumption tax in all the states, and then let's focus on value-added tax. Let's take a decision on the ones to be collected by Federal Inland Revenue, the ones to be collected by the state. Let's put these clauses in the various tax laws that have been passed in the various states. And then from there, we can move forward. We can continue to argue on this same issue every day.
Okay. Dr. Adeye, one does get a sense that this action of the states is moving us towards true federalism, because in a federal government, strictly speaking, the power resides in the states collect taxes and pay a certain percentage to the center. Wouldn't you say that that is where we're going with this that is going on now?
That's exactly, even as it stands today, when VAT is collected, federal government takes 15%, that's net collection. Federal Inland Revenue takes 4% as cost of collection. Federal government takes 15%. All the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, they share 50%. All the 36 states. Now, all the 774 local governments, they share 35%. So, if we want to maintain status quo, I will be looking for an amended status quo ante that says, look, let's work on the collection and say, state government, you are going to retain, let's say, 80% of the value-added tax collected in your state. But if you do that, it's fine, because we still have international VAT that is being collected by the federal government, which all of us must share, because we all belong to the federation. And then you must also pay attention to the principle of derivation, without prejudice to the fact that taxes are used to redistribute income. One of the things that you are going to achieve if you apply the principle of derivation, is that every state will become very active. They will become very serious. They will pay attention to ease of doing business. They would use what I call a pool mechanism of investment. How do you pool investment? By providing an enabling environment, making sure that you have roads in your state, making sure that you have security, all the basic things that should be there, clusters that are necessary, and then you already have them in that cluster, and you get your taxes. But if in your state you get free lunch, you get from states that are working hard to make sure that they have road, to make sure that there is peace in their state, and you indirectly contribute to the problems, and you are not allowing compliance, then at the end of the month you want to share substantially. That is unfair, and that's where injustice comes to play. And I started by saying righteousness exalts a nation. Sin is a reproach to any people, and indices of measuring righteousness is justice, equity, and fairness.
We will come back to the moral part of this, which is what you started with. But have you also considered the argument of those that say, if the states start collecting this VAT, there will be multiple taxation on the part of those companies, organizations. So, for instance, somebody moves his goods from Lagos to Ebonyi. He has paid some kind of tax or VAT here in Lagos, and is going to pay again when it gets to Ebonyi. How does that work? Do you see any chances of double or multiple taxation there?
No. That's why we need to come together to discuss. That's why everybody needs to sit down on the table. This is a country where I do not understand how we just come up with issues, take decisions. In fact, most of the administrative policies in Nigeria has found their way into legislation by the National Assembly because we do not sit down to discuss. Call all the stakeholders together, Federal Inland Revenue, sit down, Joint Task Board, we all sit down, State Internal Revenue Services, all the state assemblies, we all sit down and put pen on paper and say, how do we guide against multiple taxation? And if you look at item 8 in the second schedule, you will see that the law provides that we must ensure that no person is taxed twice in one state and in another state. And by the way, movement of goods that you are talking about, you are dealing with the issue of input tax. That's what applies to somebody who moves goods from Lagos to Ebonyi. So if you buy in Lagos for 100,000 and you pay 7,500 VAT, when you get to Ebonyi and you sell the goods for 200,000, you are going to pay only 7,500 right there. Meanwhile, with tax identification number, if it is Federal Inland Revenue that is collecting, everything becomes clear. And that's why we need to sit down. But if we say autonomy, look at the state of California. They had this crisis with Amazon. They needed to go to the Supreme Court and say, Amazon, look here, everything that you sell online, we are supposed to be collecting taxes. So hitherto at that time, you do not have taxes on goods that are sold online. And they came up to say, okay, the best solution is to say this will be paid to state where those goods emanated from.
Okay, so let me quickly go back to the moral part where you started from. You said, so there's the A that plants, the B that plants, the C that plants, and the D who hasn't planted anything. But if you check our fingers, you see that, you know, they are not all equal, and perhaps this is going this way, this is shorter than the other. How is it that we can help ourselves without being, you know, mean to others in terms of, because you have the resources or you have the wherewithal?
Yes, I agree with you to an extent. But here is a second analogy that you need to look at. If you are a father and you have 36 children and then 10 of your children go out every morning, and they go to farm, they go to work, they go to labor, and they bring everything to the table. And then 26 of your children decided that they were going to sleep from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. And then when it is time for dinner, your 10 children brings everything to the table. And you as a father, you call all the 36 and say, guys, 26, you've been sleeping, well done, nice guy. You've been watching movie and sleeping. So your brothers, 10 of them, they brought this to the table, let's share it. Now, when you do that consistently, after some time, you will begin to see that the 10 children that are working hard to feed everybody, they will begin to withdraw. Not only that, you will begin to see apathy, tax compliance issue on the part of those that are paying, because you're saying that there is nothing for my contribution. Not only that, you are also encouraging indolence on the part of your 26 children that decided not to work. So the best way to be a good father, now the father now is the federal government, is to say, my 36 children, we are going to have a transition period. Anybody who does not go out to work and stay at home to watch movie from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., you are not going to be eating dinner, or if you are eating dinner, I just give you 1 apple. All right? Now, you do that. Now begin to push them. They will start by working from 8 to 12. They bring something to the table and you say, well done, good boy. So, the best way is to say, as a father, federal government, call on the people. Do you remember Lamido Shanusi made one statement at a time, and which I don't need to quote here, but he was saying that a time is coming when those who contribute, they will get angry. And let me tell you, no matter how we try to apply legislation, let us assume, God forbid, I'm praying that we don't have crisis after the Court of Appeal judgment. Let us assume that status quo remains and this lopsided arrangement continues. You will see that whether now or later, this matter will keep coming. It's a recurring issue. And so the best thing to do is a father to call the children and say, 36 children, I cannot continue to be partial and allow your 10 brothers to work, and you 26, you are feeding fat. Now, not only that, you now find out that the 26 children that have refused to contribute, they are now even causing trouble for the 10 brothers. So, when you want to go to the farm, he sees your cutlass, he sees your hose, and then he pour oil on your way to go to the farm, and you fall down. Now, this is also crisis. So we need to come together as a country in unity and let us find solution. And the solution must not only be legal, it must be moral too. Just look at that example as a father.
Dr. Adoye, where do you see all this argument going at the end of the day? Take note that the southern states had their meeting in Enugu in the course of the week, and they all agreed with Rivers State that they should be collecting their VAT. But the court is saying, well, it's not saying otherwise, it's just saying, let us stay action for now, we'll sort things out later. Where do you see all of this ending?
Now, it's not going to end easily. And that's why I said the father has a duty. We need to sit down. Now, the stay of execution is to say state government should stop collecting. Now, the point that we must make clear is that that verdict from the Federal High Court in Rivers State is not limited to Rivers State. It's actually a verdict for all the states, the federating units. And that's why Lagos swiftly moved to pass their own law. Ogun State law passed through the second reading. They had their public hearing this week. And I can tell you, the way I'm looking at it, before the end of next week, Dapo Abiodun is going to sign his own VAT law. Right? Because the public hearing was done, and then the next thing is that they're going to pass that law. that is going to spread like wildfire to all other states. What that means is that we need to sit down and talk to ourselves. Can I tell you something? The 26 children that you think are lazy or they are not bringing anything, they probably have more energy or more resources available to them and more opportunity to generate taxes. And you will see that they will be better off. And mind you, all that we're talking about is about 40% of the entire value-added tax. Because VAT on import, international VAT and the rest, they are within the purview of the federal government. Except Lagos want to say, oh, port is in Lagos. Except one state want to say, oh, oil is here. And that's this agitation, this similar agitation like this led to derivation principle, where 13% or so now goes to oil producing states. And we need to sit down. We don't need to enter into unnecessary disunity before we resolve this. Look at how things are done in the US. Every state, you see true federalism. You're on your own. You cannot compare the state of New York. You can't compare New York, Georgia with California. You can't compare Delaware with California. There are small states, and everybody, they are doing their own things at their pace. So, there will be problem. Court of Appeal will give a ruling. After that, if it's not favorable, well, one party will lose, one party will win. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will get busy very soon with nomination at party level. Remember that PDP and APC, they are going to have their own crisis, which will be going to the court. And so, they will be so busy on electoral matters from next year. 2023 is election. If Supreme Court do not have space to listen to this matter, then we have gunpowder kept somewhere. All right? We will have something else to pursue, but it will be there. So the best thing is to come together and say, let's find lasting solution to this matter.
After watching this very discourse, you can agree with me that we are dealing with monsters. We are dealing with monsters. And it can never be good until you break it up. Because they have the backing of everything they are doing in the fraudulent constitution, which they have refused to amend. A constitution that nobody signed up to. From amalgamation up to date, everything in Nigeria construct is false. Everything that has to do with every construct of Nigeria, they are all false. That is why nothing can ever work. Unless you break it up, start afresh. People will decide their fate through referendum where they want to belong. Then come back and write a constitution of the people. That is what we're asking for. We are not asking for war. Neither are we hating anybody. Neither are we talking out of hate. We are saying the right thing and what is supposed to be done. That truth that they have refused to say in the national television, that is what we are bringing to your doorstep. It is left for you to either listen or leave it. It's up to you. But for those of us Biafrans, we are going home. It cannot change. Our only direction is Biafra. It is Biafra or nothing. The Oduduwas have risen up and they are going. And the Middle Belters, I hope, by what is going on, you have seen they have taken out one of the major voices in the Middle Belt, Dr. Obodia Melafia. I hope the Middle Belt will wake up and stand stronger and stand tall and never waver. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to guide and protect us in the Kano. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to protect all the freedom fighters in that country called Nigeria. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to protect some people wherever he is. Set him free very soon. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama send us to Biafra. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama give Asuna Kano good health. Give him strength. Provide for him. Make sure that very, very soon the angels will be with him and they will send him back to us with a strong word. He will come out stronger than ever. And very soon we'll walk into Biafra with our head lifted high. Thank you so much for watching, wherever you are watching from. And remember, blessed. Bye-bye. See you again on the next video.